deathless titans placed upon the face of the earth 3 generations of men. The first of them being men of gold. Becoming too close to gods themselves, Cronus ended their time on earth with an eternal sleep. A second generation came to be, the men of silver, unwilling to serve the Titans and make sacrifices upon the holy altars, as all men shall do. They were condemned to dwell under the earth for all eternity. Finally, a third generation, the men of bronze, a brazen race, sprung from the ash tree. Terrible and strong are they. Join me as I tell you the tales of the men of bronze. This is Dragon's Blood, Odyssey to Dionysodoros, Episode 11. The 4 travelers entered Nebeta, and as always, the city was crowded with people of every culture and color. The smell of the city was overpowering. It was a mix of fish, manure, and coal. Not only was Nebeta a port city, but livestock was held in the city for auction and slaughter. The blacksmiths and potteries belched out black smoke from their coal-fired furnaces, adding to the noxious stench. The nobility was far away from the city and the crush of people. Even though the spires of the cathedrals and castles were a half-hour ride out of the city, they loomed large on the horizon. Encircled by a high wall and guarded at all times, only the elite entered that part of the city. Just outside the old city walls, Akim stopped the group and said, "I know we would all like to have a bed to sleep in, but I think we can all easily agree that we should sleep outside the city tonight. We want to keep a low profile, and the 4 of us together stick out like sore thumbs." He pointed at Gamden and Sunisret. "You 2, find a place for us to camp tonight, preferably downwind of the city, and build a fire, nice and warm," interjected Menkaure. "I am old, and my bones hurt when I get cold. Do this for me, and I will bring you back a bottle of wine." "Make it 3, and you got a deal," said Sunisret. "Sounds like I will be thirsty when I'm finished all this work for you." "1 bottle of wine and a bowl full of hashish," countered Menkaure. Sunisret thought it over for a second and said, "Deal." They split into 2 groups. Sunisret and Gamden went off to make camp, and all the way Sunisret complained that he was only to get 1 bottle of wine for all of his troubles. Gamden laughed at him and said, "Quit your bitchin'. Just like an old lady. Bitch, bitch, bitch." "Shut up, Gamden." Sunisret punched him in the arm, so Gamden punched him back. That is the way they continued off into the distance. "Do you think that Sunisret is worth the risk of taking with us?" asked Menkaure, as they watched them leave. "Sunisret is loyal to Gamden," replied Akim. "I can sense that he would protect him with his life, if it came down to it." Menkaure took one last look at them riding away, turned his horse toward the city and said, "Let's pray that we don't have to find out." Akim and Menkaure rode into the city and were overwhelmed by the sheer amount of people on the streets of Nebeta. Anything you wanted could be found there. All the trade of the 3 seas came through Nebeta. Merchants on the street and in their shops shouted to the masses, enticing them to come and buy their wares. Looking for the businesses that had dry goods for the long trip across the Nefekare Sea, they made their way through the streets. Near the center of the trading district, they passed by a large fountain where people gathered freely to talk and quench their thirst. When Menkaure neared the fountain, a middle-aged man in a simple robe with a book and quarterstaff shouted above everyone else, "Neskar, you have finally come to join the other prophets at our village. Come with us and bless us with your divine presence." Startled, Menkaure stopped and looked around to make sure that this stranger was talking about him. The man ran up close and bent to his knees, dropped the book and staff, clasped his hands in front of him and began to plead. Bloodshot green eyes looked up at Menkaure with unmistakable insanity. Long black matted hair and beard gave an idea as to how long his mind had been broken. Please, Nefekare, come home with me to bring life back to my village and save us from certain death. Menkaure wearily replied, I am not this Nefekare you speak of. You have me confused with someone else. No, you are Nefekare. Look here. Fumbling, the man picked up the book and opened it. Akim rode up to the man and looked at the open page. He noticed that it seemed to be covered in stitched leather, and a closer look revealed the tattoo of an ancient priesthood. Look! It's you, Nefekare! The man lifted the open book and pointed to a hand-drawn sketch that had an eerie resemblance. Look! Menkaure took out a pair of brass-rimmed glasses, put them on, and squinted at the sketch. Oh my! That does look like me! Blurted Menkaure. Where do you come from? Akim asked the man as he dismounted. I come from the northern plains. Our lands are sterile, my people starving. You must come with me and give us your blessings. The man continued to plead. By this time, a crowd had gathered to view the scene that was unfolding in front of them. I am sorry, but I can't go anywhere with you. I am needed elsewhere, far away from you. Menkaure's horse, Merit, sensed panic in his voice and began to back away. The man dropped the book and got to his feet, all the while pleading, You must! I can't go back without you! A look of rage came across the man's face as he drew a long dagger from the folds of his robe. Then I will bring back only your head for the altar! With that, the man stepped toward Menkaure. Instantly, and without a single word, Akim channeled his defensive magic skills and focused it through his outstretched hand toward the attacker, stopping him in his tracks. Akim walked toward the paralyzed man, still stuck in his attack pose. Concentrating on him, Akim took off his left gauntlet and reached out to the man's temples. Unable to move, the man could only follow Akim with his eyes. With a thumb and forefinger on either temple, Akim spoke a command. This is not the man you are looking for. Continue your search at the temple of Athena. Talk to the priests and tell them that Akim sent you. There you will find Nefekare. But first, you must sleep before your long journey. Akim looked directly into his eyes and spoke the words, Do as I command. The man crumpled to the ground and said groggily, Must get to temple. Must find Nefekare. So tired. With that, the man fell into a deep sleep. Akim dragged his limp body over to the fountain and propped him up, then took his book but left the staff. Turning to the crowd, he said, No one is to bother this man. He must leave Nebeta when he wakes. The crowd quickly moved away, amazed and frightened at such a powerful display of magic. Why did you command that madman to go to your temple? Asked Menkaure. My brothers will help heal this man. The book has driven him mad. The ancient text in this book will possess anyone that reads it. How do you know that? Asked Menkaure. When I first saw the cover of the book, it looked like patches of leather stitched together. But if you look closer, there is a tattoo from an ancient, dead priesthood. They worshipped Hades. I have read only fragmented parchments that mention that name in passing, interjected Menkaure. Not surprising, responded Akim. His priests kept no written record except this book that Asmilkart commanded they make. Asmilkart was the first pontiff of the order. He told his acolytes that there were to be 9 prophets, and apparently you are the 9th, or at least you look exactly like him. The cover of the book is human flesh, taken from each prophet, and from the pontiff while he was still alive. How do you know all this, and why am I only just hearing this for the first time? Asked Menkaure. Simple, answered Akim. I am a priest of Athena. My brothers and I are encouraged to travel and learn. We seek out knowledge, and you wait for knowledge to come to you. If this is the way you learn, then you can count me out, said Menkaure with a slight laugh in his voice. I agree. Let's not forget why we came here. We have food for the journey, and now we have to find passage across the Nefekare Sea. Akim sniffed the wind and continued his thought. Smell of rotting fish and the sea is strongest to the east. Let's go that way. And try not to be a prophet any more today. You have my solemn word on that, said Menkaure with a wry smile. Akim mounted his horse and they set off for the docks. The city streets became even more narrow and the buildings older as they got closer to the docks. The shipping district is where the first settlement took root, at the shores of the Nefekare Sea. They asked people directions as they went, and soon found the harbor master's office. Outside the building they stopped, and Menkaure said, I don't think I will be of any use in there, and I'm quite comfortable where I am. He petted Merritt on the neck, then added, Besides, someone has to take care of the horses. Okay, I'll agree to that. Akim handed over the reins and walked toward the old mud brick building. It was buzzing with activity. As he walked in the main door, everyone stopped and noticed Akim, completely out of place in the midst of the traders and ship captains looking for cargo to carry. Across the dimly lit room, Akim saw a middle-aged man sitting behind a rickety old desk, flanked on either side by large men. Rather than talk to a captain directly, he knew to talk to the harbor master first and pay the fee. As Akim approached the desk, the large men watched him closely, and the crowd parted. The harbor master continued to write in his ledger. Akim stopped in front of the desk and cleared his throat. Excuse me, sir. My friends and I seek passage to Dionysodoros. The harbor master put down his stylus, held out his hand, and said in a gravelly voice, 3 copper pieces. Akim paid the man. The harbor master flipped back a couple pages in his ledger, found the line with his finger, and said, Captain Ananhab is laden with cargo, but is heading that way. Talk to him. He might sell you passage on his ship. The harbor master pointed off into the left corner. Akim turned and noticed a short, young, brown man in a red turban and matching robes stepping forward. The harbor master bent over his ledger with his pen and continued working. Akim walked across the room and stopped in front of Ahinabad. I am at your service, mighty priest of Athena, he said, as he bowed with respect. With that, business continued as usual, and the room filled with voices. Akim bowed as well and said, You can't be no more than 18? I will be 17 this spring, Ahinabad said, with a smile. His small brown eyes were framed in a round face with a patchy beard. How can I be assured that such a young captain can get me and my friends across the Nefekare Sea unscathed? I have lived on the sea all my life, answered Ahinabad. My father inherited a cargo ship from his uncle. He met my mother on that ship. I was conceived on that ship, and I was born on that ship. Now I have inherited that same ship, and have sailed her across the three seas, hundreds of times. Akim nodded to himself and said, "How much for myself and 3 others? There are also 3 horses that are coming along." "You said that there are 4 of you, but only 3 horses?" "The 4th member of the group is just too big for any horse to carry him," replied Akim. "He walks wherever he goes. Come with me outside, where it is a little quieter, and you can meet my friend Menkaure." On the way out of the building, Akim asked, "How did you know I was a priest of Athena?" "On my many voyages, I was lucky enough to have one of your brethren aboard my ship for almost a year. All he wanted to do was travel and write in his journal. Also, his armor was green, just like yours. And when he wore his shield on his back, just as you are right now, he looked like a turtle." Ahinabad said, through a smile. "That's right. We observe nature and try to learn from what comes natural. And the turtle is safe in its shell, just like I am in my armor and shield." "Did this other traveling turtle go by the name Praxilus?" Yes, said Ahinabad, as he nodded his head. "Praxilus is the head of our order. My brethren and I strive to be the man he is." They stopped in front of Menkaure and introductions were made. As they talked, Merritt walked up to Ahinabad and gave him a good smell, finally concentrating on the pouch hanging from his waist. Merritt gently pushed him with his head and neighed. "Do you by chance have some dates in that pouch?" asked Menkaure. Yes. "She won't stop until she gets a couple of those sweet treats. I spoil her too much." Ahinabad laughed and gave Merritt some of his dates. As he fed Merritt, he said, "My ship will be loaded with cargo by this evening, but will not leave until the morning. Be at dock number 6, shortly after sunrise. I must warn you before accept passage to Dionysodoros. There is a possibility that we will come across slaver ships. They know me, and I carry their goods from time to time. It's no guarantee that they will leave you alone if they board and search my ship. From what I have heard, I think that you will be our best choice," answered Akim. "We will be there without fail, but you still haven't told us the cost." "When we get to Dionysodoros, then we can decide on that." "Very well then. We must be going if we want to make it back to camp before dark." "One more thing," asked Akim. "Where can we find a bottle of wine for our friend back at camp?" "There is a shop beside the main gate of the city wall. You will find everything that you need there." Ahinabad pointed off to their left. A man in the distance shouted for Ahinabad. He bowed quickly and was off to take care of business. Menkaure said, "He seems to be a trustworthy young man. I have a good feeling about him." Akim got on his horse, then replied, "The Nefekare Sea is dangerous this time of year. Bad storms. But I feel it too, that he will get us there alive." And with that, they went off to find Senesret a bottle of wine. Look for episode 12 of Dragon's Blood, Odyssey to Dionysodoros, on YouTube.